The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly was the largest structure ever built by intelligent life. Its ceiling rose so high that clouds sometimes formed inside. Thousands of seats filled with representatives from 12 ancient species, all of them older than humanity. All of them certain of their place in the universe. Ambassador Yoon Murray walked alone across the speaking floor. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. She was small by galactic standards. The Velith stood 3 meters tall with 4 arms and skin like polished stone. The Kreeshi floated in anti-gravity pods, their bodies too fragile for normal movement. The Mordon had no bodies at all, just clouds of connected particles that shifted and swirled. And here was Murray, one small human woman in a simple black uniform. Walking to face them all, she had spent 30 years in diplomatic service. She had negotiated peace treaties on 6 worlds. She had prevented 2 wars and ended another. But today she was not here to make peace. The Velith High Ambassador rose from his seat. His name was Thalveen, and he was very old, even by Velith standards. He had watched species rise and fall. He had seen empires crumble. He looked at this tiny human woman and felt nothing but amusement. "The Galactic Concord recognizes Earth's ambassador," he said. His voice was deep and slow, like stones grinding together. "You have come to accept our terms." Murray stopped in the center of the floor. Above her, a holographic display showed a star map. 3 human colony worlds were highlighted in red. New Busan, Frontier 7, Morning Star. 3 million humans lived on those worlds. The Velith wanted them gone. "I have come to respond to your ultimatum," Murray said. Her voice was calm and clear. "The Velith hegemony has demanded that humanity surrender 3 colony worlds. You have given us 60 days to remove our people. You have stated that failure to comply will result in what you call correction." Thalveen nodded slowly. "This is accurate. Your species has expanded into territory that disrupts Velith mining operations. We have been patient. We have been generous. But our patience has limits," Murray repeated. She almost smiled. "You call it generous to demand that 3 million people abandon their homes, their farms, their children's schools, the graves of their parents. They will be compensated," Thalveen said. "We are not cruel. We simply require the resources on those worlds. Your species is young. You will find other places to live." Murray looked around the assembly hall. She saw the faces of 100 species watching her. Some looked bored. Some looked curious. A few looked sympathetic. But none of them were going to help. This was the way of the galaxy. The strong took what they wanted. The weak accepted what they were given. Humanity had been in space for 300 years, but they were still considered children. Primitive. Harmless. "May I ask a question?" Murray said. Thalveen spread his 4 hands in a gesture of permission. "Of course, how many wars has the Velith hegemony fought?" The question seemed to confuse Thalveen. "Wars. We have conducted 17 military corrections over the past 10,000 years. All were successful. All were brief." 17 in 10,000 years, Murray said. "And how many soldiers did you lose?" "Soldiers?" Thalveen made a sound that might have been laughter. "Ambassador, we do not lose soldiers. Inferior species surrender when they see our fleets. There is no need for extended conflict. The outcome is always certain." Murray nodded slowly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small data chip. She held it up for everyone to see. "This contains humanity's official response to your ultimatum," she said. "I would like to play it for the assembly." Thalveen waved his permission. The holographic display flickered and changed. Admiral Park Doan appeared. He was an older man with gray hair, cut short, and a face that looked like it had been carved from hard wood. He wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's United Defense Fleet. Behind him, through a window, ships moved in formation. Hundreds of ships. Thousands. "I am Admiral Park Doan," he said, "commander of Earth's military forces. This message is for the Velith hegemony and all species of the Galactic Concord." He paused. His dark eyes seemed to look directly at each member of the assembly. "Humanity will not surrender our colony worlds. We will not remove our people. We will not accept your ultimatum. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Thalvin's stone face showed what might have been surprise. Yes! If Velith ships enter our territory with hostile intent, Admiral Park continued, we will destroy them. If Velith soldiers land on our worlds, we will kill them. If you burn our cities, we will burn yours. If you take our children, we will take everything you have ever built. The murmurs grew louder. Some representatives laughed. Others looked confused. This was not how weak species behaved. We do not want war, Admiral Park said. We have never wanted war. But we have spent 300 years preparing for it. Every human child learns to fight. Every human world is fortified. Every human ship carries weapons you have never seen. He leaned closer to the camera. This is not a threat. This is a warning. The last warning you will receive. If you come for us, we will show you what humanity does to those who threaten our families. The recording ended. The hall was silent. Ambassador Yoon Murray looked up at Thalvin. The old Velith was staring at her with an expression she could not read. You cannot be serious, he finally said. Your species has existed for barely a moment. You have no dreadnoughts. No planet killers. Your population is tiny compared to ours. What could you possibly do against the hegemony? Murray smiled. It was not a warm smile. We have warned you, she said simply. That is all we came to do. We have warned you. Remember that we warned you. She turned and began walking toward the exit. Behind her, laughter started. First one representative, then another. Soon, the whole assembly was laughing. The tiny humans thought they could fight the Velith. The children thought they could challenge the masters of the galaxy. Murray did not turn around. She walked through the great doors and kept walking until she reached her shuttle. Captain Kong Jie was waiting for her. The young woman looked nervous. Ambassador. What happened? What did they say? Murray sat down in her seat and closed her eyes. They laughed, Jie. Just as we knew they would. And now? Murray opened her eyes. There was something cold in them. Something old. And now we wait. And when they come, we show them why they should not have laughed. Far away in the dark space between stars, 10,000 human ships waited in silence. They had been waiting for 300 years. They were very patient, and they were very, very ready. Admiral Thorin stood on the bridge of his flagship and felt satisfied. Behind him, 200 warships of the Velith hegemony moved in perfect formation. Each ship was a mountain of metal and fire, built to inspire terror in lesser species. Each ship had never known defeat. The human colony world of New Busan hung in space before them. It was a small world, mostly green and blue, with 2 small moons. Sensors showed cities on the surface, farms, roads, 3 million humans living their tiny lives, unaware that their time was ending. Admiral, his second officer said, we are detecting no orbital defenses, no military ships. The system appears unprotected. Thurin made a sound of contempt. As expected, the humans talk bravely, but when faced with real power they hide. They have probably already begun evacuating. Should we wait for confirmation? No, Thrawn waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. Move the fleet forward. We will secure orbit around the planet and begin landing troops. This correction will be complete within a day. The fleet moved forward. 200 ships crossing the empty space toward New Busan. On the bridge, officers began preparing landing orders. Troop transports moved into position. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Then they crossed the invisible line. Lieutenant Han Yunji was watching from the defense station Iron Mountain, hidden inside one of New Busan's moons. She was 26 years old. She had trained for this moment her entire life. Her hand rested on a console that controlled 3,000 autonomous weapons platforms scattered. Throughout the system, they've entered the kill zone, she said. Quietly, General Beek Sunho stood behind her. He was an old soldier with scars on his face and hands. He had fought in the Mars insurgency 30 years ago. He had seen friends die. He had killed enemies with his bare hands. but he had never felt the cold focus he felt now. "Wait," he said. "Let them get deeper." On the Velith flagship, nothing seemed wrong. The fleet continued forward. Officers chatted casually about how quickly the correction would be completed. Someone mentioned that human food was supposed to be interesting. Perhaps they would try some before destroying the farms. They never saw the mines activate. 3,000. Weapons platforms came online simultaneously. They had been floating in space for 50 years, disguised as asteroids and debris. They were patient machines, designed to wait and wait and wait until the moment came. The moment had come. The first wave of missiles struck the rear of the Velith formation. Ships that had existed for centuries vanished in balls of fire. The explosions were silent in space, but the screaming on the communication channels was very loud. "What is happening?" Thurin shouted. "Where did those come from?" Before anyone could answer, the second wave hit. Railgun platforms hidden in THE asteroid belt opened fire. Tungsten projectiles moving at incredible speed punched through Velith armor like it was paper. More ships died. More screaming filled the channels. Shields. Thorin commanded. All ships raise shields and return fire. The Velith ships tried to respond. Their weapons were powerful, designed to destroy cities and crack planets, but they could not hit what they could not see. The human weapons were small and dark and everywhere. They came from every direction at once. Electromagnetic pulse satellites activated. Velith ships lost power and drifted helplessly. Some crashed into each other. Some simply went dark and fell toward the planet below in 11 minutes. 94 Velith ships were destroyed or disabled. Admiral Thorin stood on his bridge surrounded by chaos. Alarms screamed. Officers shouted damage reports. On the main display, he watched his fleet die. Myral. Someone yelled, "Human ships emerging from behind the gas giant." Finally, Thurin thought. Finally, something to fight. He turned to the display, ready to give the order to attack. But the human ships did not attack. There were 50 of them, small and fast, moving in patterns that made them hard to target. They positioned themselves around the surviving Velith ships, but did not fire. Instead, a message came through on all channels. General Beek Sunho's voice filled the bridge. It was calm, almost friendly. "This is General Beek Sunho of the New Busan Defense Force. You have lost 94 ships. You have 106 remaining, many of them damaged. We have not yet used our primary weapons." Thurin felt something he had never felt before. He did not have a word for it in his language. "Humans called it fear. Came here to take our homes," Beek continued. "You came here to remove our families. You laughed when we warned you. I wonder if you are still laughing." The communication channel was silent. No one on the Velith ships was laughing. "Here is what will happen now. You will turn your ships around. You will leave this system. You will return to your masters and tell them what happened here. Tell them that you met human soldiers today. Tell them that we let you live." Thuron's hands were shaking. He tried to stop them and could not. "This is the only mercy you will receive," Beek said. "If you return, we will not let you leave. If you send more ships, we will destroy them all. If you continue this war, we will bring it to your worlds, your cities, your families." A pause. When Beek spoke again, his voice was harder. "We warned you. Your leaders did not listen. Perhaps they will listen now. Go home, Admiral. Tell them what humans do to those who threaten our children." Channel closed. For a long moment, no one on the Velith bridge moved. They looked at Admiral Thurin. They waited for orders. They waited for the great commander to tell them how to respond to this impossible situation. Thurin looked at the display. His proud fleet was broken. Ships burned in the darkness. Bodies floated in space. And the human ships just sat there waiting, ready to finish what they had started if he made the wrong choice. "Turn us around," he said quietly, Admiral. His second officer could not believe what he was hearing. "Turn us around?" Thuron shouted. "All ships. Retreat to the jump point. We are leaving." The surviving Velith ships turned, and fled. They moved as fast as their damaged engines could carry them. Behind them, the human ships watched but did not follow. On the defense station, Iron Mountain, Lieutenant Han Yunji let out a breath she had been holding for a long time. Her hands were shaking too. She had helped kill thousands of beings today. She was only 26 years old. General Beak put a hand on her shoulder. "You did well, Lieutenant. Did we do the right thing?" she asked. "Letting them go?" Beak watched the Velith ships disappear into the distance. His face was unreadable. "Send a message," he said. "Now the whole galaxy will hear it. They will know that humans do not fight fair. They will know that we do not give second chances. And maybe, if we are lucky, they will decide that war with humanity is not worth the cost." He turned away from the display. "But I do not think we will be that lucky. This is just the beginning, Lieutenant. The real war is coming, and it will be worse than anything the galaxy has ever seen." Far away, the Velith survivors limped home to deliver their report. The galaxy was about to learn its first lesson about humanity. The lesson was simple. Humans do not fight the way civilized species fight. Humans fight to win. The Galactic Concord met in emergency session. No one was laughing anymore. Arbiter Yelchin was very old, even by galactic standards. Her species, the Ilari, lived for thousands of years. She had watched civilizations rise and fall. She had seen wars begin and end. She thought she understood how the universe worked. She was beginning to realize she understood nothing about humans. "The reports are confirmed," said the Velith High Ambassador. Thalvin looked different now. His stone face showed cracks of worry. Admiral Thuren's fleet was destroyed. 94 ships lost in 11 minutes. "We have never suffered such losses. How is this possible?" asked the Krishi representative. "Humans have no advanced technology. Their ships are primitive. Their weapons are simple. Their weapons are not simple," Thalvin said. "They are different. Hidden. Patient. Our fleet flew into a trap that had been waiting for 50 years. The assembly murmured. 50 years. The humans had been preparing their traps before most current representatives had taken office. Intelligence. Chief Otason was watching the session from Earth. He sat in a dark room surrounded by screens, monitoring every word, every reaction, every flicker of fear on alien faces. He was a thin man with glasses and a quiet voice. He looked like a librarian. He was actually the most dangerous person in human space. "They're scared," he said to his assistant, a young woman named Bae Soman. "But they don't understand yet. They think New Busan was a single victory. They don't realize it was just a taste." "Should we release the next package?" Soman asked. Soon smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Yes, let's help them understand." In the Galactic Assembly, a new transmission appeared on every screen. It was labeled Human Historical Archives, compiled for educational purposes. The representatives watched in silence as images began to play. First came footage from something called World War I. Millions of soldiers charging across muddy fields into machine gun fire. Bodies stacked like wood. Gas clouds rolling across trenches where young men screamed and died. Then World War II. Cities burning. Atomic bombs turning entire populations to ash in seconds. Humans had created weapons that could destroy cities, and they had used them on themselves. Then the water wars of the 22nd century. Fighting over something as basic as water, billions dead. Entire continents made unlivable. Then the Mars insurgency. Soldiers in pressure suits fighting hand-to-hand in red dust. No mercy, no surrender, just killing until one side stopped moving. The footage played for an hour. War after war after war. Humans fighting humans with increasing creativity and decreasing hesitation. Each generation found new ways to kill. Each war was worse than the last. When it finally ended, the assembly was silent. Arbiter Yelchin spoke first. Her voice was barely a whisper. "They've been at war with themselves for their entire existence." "It's not just at war," said a Mordon representative. its particle cloud swirling with distress. They have been perfecting war. Each conflict teaches them new methods, new weapons, new strategies. They treat warfare as an art form. But why? Asked the Krishi representative. Why would any species do this to itself? The question hung in the air. No one had an answer. On Earth, Dr. Im Hai-Hung watched the same footage with different eyes. She was the scientist who had designed the Spectre Protocol, the system of hidden weapons that had destroyed the Velith fleet. She was 60 years old and had spent her entire career preparing for this war. "They're asking the wrong question," she said to no one in particular. "They shouldn't ask why we fight each other. They should ask what we become when we fight together." Back in the assembly, Thalvin was receiving more reports. Each one made him look older. "Our intelligence services have discovered more information," he announced. "The humans have been preparing for galactic war since they first achieved space travel. 300 years of preparation," he paused, reading from his display. "They have hidden weapons caches in 47 neutral systems. We have found sleeper agents in 9 Concord governments, including 3 members of my own staff. They have mapped every jump point in Velith space. They know the patrol routes of every one of our fleets." The assembly erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted accusations at each other. Who else had been compromised? Who else had human agents hiding among them? Arbiter Yelchin raised her hand for silence. Slowly, the noise died down. "The humans knew this would happen," she said. "They knew someone would eventually threaten them. So they prepared. They prepared for 300 years in silence, while we laughed at them and called them primitive." She looked around the assembly. "They warned us. In this very chamber, their ambassador warned us. She told us to remember that they warned us. And we laughed." A new transmission arrived. This one was from Intelligence Chief Otason himself. His face appeared on every screen in the assembly. "Good evening," he said politely. "My name is Otason. I oversee human intelligence operations. I wanted to introduce myself, since we will be getting to know each other quite well in the coming months." His expression was calm, almost friendly. "I know you have many questions about humanity. Why do we fight? What makes us this way? How did we hide our preparations for so long? Allow me to answer the most important question. What happens now?" He leaned forward slightly. "Nothing happens? We wait. We have sent your fleet home with a message. We hope you will choose to hear it. We hope you will decide that war with humanity is too costly. We hope you will leave us in peace." His eyes hardened. "But we know hope is not a strategy. So while we hope for peace, we prepare for war. We have been preparing for war since before your grandparents were born. We are very good at it. We are very patient, and we are very, very difficult to kill." He smiled. "Talk among yourselves. Decide what you want to do. But remember, we warned you. We will not warn you again." The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Arbiter Yelshan made a decision. She turned to the Velith delegation. "You must not continue this war," she said. "You must accept the loss and withdraw your claims to the human worlds." Thalvina's stone face cracked with anger. "You suggest we surrender?" "The Velith hegemony does not surrender. We have dominated this region of space for 10,000 years, and the humans have been fighting for their entire existence," Yelshan replied. "They evolved for this. War is in their blood, their bones, their very nature. You have fought 17 corrections in 10,000 years. They have fought thousands of wars in a fraction of that time." She stood, her ancient body trembling with the effort. "I have lived long enough to recognize an extinction event when I see one. If you continue this war, you will not just lose. You will cease to exist. The humans will not stop until you are gone. That is what they do. That is who they are." Thalvin stood as well. His 4 fists were clenched. "Then we will gather our full strength. We will call upon our allies. We will bring such force that even humans cannot resist. We will show them that the galaxy will not bow to primitive upstarts." He stormed out of the assembly. 3 other species followed him, their representatives already calling for war fleets to gather. Arbiter Yelchin watched them go. She felt very tired. "It will not listen," she said softly. "They do not understand." But she understood now. She understood that the humans had been right all along. They had warned the galaxy. The galaxy had not listened. And now everyone would learn what humanity had known for thousands of years. War was coming. Real war. Total war. The kind of war that humans had been fighting since they climbed down from the trees and picked up the first stone. The galaxy was not ready. 6 months into the war, the Velith hegemony and 3 allied species sent everything they had. 2,000 warships. 50 million soldiers. The largest military force assembled in galactic history. Supreme. Commander Kethvorin stood at the center of his command ship and looked at the display showing human space. 20 colony worlds. 15 billion humans, soon to be 0. "Today we end this," he announced to his officers. "Today we show the galaxy what happens to species that defy the natural order." His fleet jumped into human space expecting resistance. They found something else. They found nothing. The first human world they reached was called Frontier 7. Population 200 million. When the Velith fleet arrived, the planet was burning. Not from attack. The humans had burned it themselves. "What is this?" Kethvorin demanded. "What have they done?" His officers scanned the planet. The cities were destroyed. The farms were poisoned. The water was contaminated. 200 million humans had evacuated, leaving behind only ash and death. "They destroyed their own world," an officer said in disbelief. "Rather than let us take it." Kethvorin felt the first hint of doubt. What kind of species burned their own homes? The answer came soon enough. The evacuated humans had not fled. They had relocated to the asteroid belts and moons of the system. Hidden bases. Secret factories. Ships that appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished before the Velith could respond. This was guerrilla warfare on a galactic scale. The humans called it the Void Strategy. They refused to fight fleet against fleet. Instead, they bled the enemy slowly. A supply ship destroyed here. A fuel depot raided there. Officers assassinated in their sleep. In the first month of the invasion, the Velith Alliance lost 300 ships. Without ever fighting a major battle, Fleet Admiral Shin Yuna commanded the human resistance from a mobile. Headquarters that never stayed in one place for more than a day. She was 45 years old, with short gray hair and eyes that never seemed to blink. Her officers called her the Ghost Admiral because the enemy could never find her. "Status report," she said during a strategy meeting held in the cargo bay of a converted freighter. "The enemy has taken 4 outer colonies," her second reported. "Total human losses, 12 million evacuated, approximately 200,000 dead or captured, and enemy losses. 412 ships destroyed. Estimated 3 million soldiers killed. Supply lines disrupted across 6 systems." Shin nodded. The math was simple. For every human killed, 15 enemy soldiers died. For every human ship lost, 20 enemy ships burned. The humans were losing territory, but the enemy was bleeding. "Continue the strategy," she ordered. "Make them fight for every rock. Make them pay for every step. Show them that conquest has a price."
Ow.
On the ground, the reality of human warfare was even more brutal. Sergeant Cho Min-ho had been fighting for 4 months straight. He was 28 years old. He felt like 100. He had watched friends die. He had killed beings whose names he would never know. He had stopped counting how many. His unit had been given a simple order. Hold the mountain pass on Frontier 3 until reinforcements arrive. Block the enemy advance. Do not retreat. For 9 days, Min-ho and 40 soldiers held that pass against 10,000 enemy troops. They had no air support, limited supplies, no reinforcements in sight. But they had been told to hold, and so they held. On the 3rd day, they ran out of food. On the 5th day, they ran out of medical supplies. On the 7th day, Min-ho realized that reinforcements were not coming. Someone had made a decision that 40 lives were acceptable losses if it delayed. The enemy advance. He did not stop fighting. The Humans used combat stimulants that allowed them to stay awake and alert for 72 hours at a time. The enemy called them the sleepless. They never seemed to stop, never seemed to tire. They fought during the day and raided during the night and set traps in the hours between. On the 9th day, reinforcements finally arrived. When they reached the mountain pass, they found 3 humans still alive. Minho and 2 others, surrounded by enemy bodies, still firing, still fighting. Why didn't you retreat? The rescue commander asked Minho later in the medical bay. Minho looked at him with eyes that had seen too much. Retreat to where? He asked. Our families are behind us. Our children are behind us. There is nowhere to retreat. Stories like Minho's spread across the galaxy. Humans who fought until their weapons were empty, then fought with knives, then fought with their hands. Humans who crashed their ships into enemy vessels rather than surrender. Humans who detonated explosives strapped to their own bodies to take enemies with them. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. The galaxy had never imagined anything like it. 3 months into the invasion, Kethforin's alliance was falling apart. One allied species withdrew completely, their government terrified of what humans might do if the war continued. Another species suffered a revolution at home when images of human resistance fighters reached their population. The Velith continued alone, but even they were beginning to break. Fleet Admiral Shin Yuna chose this moment to strike back. Operation Homecoming was the largest human military action in history. 5,000 ships that had been hiding in nebulae and asteroid fields suddenly appeared across Velith space. They did not attack military targets. They attacked supply lines, factories, shipyards in 1 week. The human fleet destroyed 30% of Velith industrial capacity. Then they did something unexpected. They captured a Velith core world called Kethal. 50 million Velith civilians lived there. The galaxy watched, expecting massacre. Instead, Admiral Shin Yuna broadcast a message to the Galactic Assembly. We have taken Kethal, she said. We have harmed no civilians. We have damaged no homes. The people of this world are safe and will remain safe. She paused. We are offering to return this world to the Velith hegemony. We ask nothing in return except an end to hostilities. We do not want your territory. We do not want your resources. We want peace. The message ended. The galaxy was stunned. The humans had won a world and were offering to give it back. They had the power to destroy and chose mercy instead. Why would any species do this? Arbiter Yelchan understood. She called for another emergency session of the Galactic Assembly. The humans are showing us something, she said. They are showing us who they choose to be. They could burn Kethal. They could kill every Velith on that world. Instead, they offer peace. This is a trick, Thalvin insisted. But his voice was weak. His people were dying. His fleets were burning. And the humans were offering to stop? It is not a trick, Yelshan said. It is a test. They're asking us, what kind of galaxy do we want to live in? One where the strong take what they want? Or one where even the strong choose peace? She looked at the Velith delegation. You started this war over 3 colony worlds. Mining rights. Resources. Was it worth it? Was it worth the millions dead? The ships destroyed? The fear that now grips every species in the galaxy? No one answered. The humans are offering you a way out, Yelshan continued. Before they decide that mercy is no longer worth offering. Far away in the ruins of the mountain pass on Frontier 3, Sergeant Cho Minho stood among the graves of his fallen comrades. 37 soldiers had died so that he could live. 37 friends who would never go home. He did not know if the war would end. He did not know if peace would come. He only knew that he would keep fighting until someone told him to stop. That was what humans did. That was who humans were. Survivors, fighters, stubborn, angry, beautiful creatures who refused to die quietly. The galaxy was finally beginning to understand. 1 year after the war began, the Velith hegemony surrendered. The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly was silent, as the Velith delegation walked to the speaking floor. Dalveen was not among them. The old ambassador had died 3 months earlier, broken by the weight of a war he had helped start. His replacement was younger, quieter, and very afraid. On the other side of the floor, Ambassador Yoon Murray waited. She looked the same as she had 1 year ago, calm, patient, watching. The Velith hegemony accepts humanity's terms, the new ambassador said. His voice echoed in the vast space. We will withdraw all claims to human territory. We will pay reparations for the colonies we damaged. We will release all human prisoners. He paused, struggling with words that his species had never spoken before. We, ... surrender. The galaxy watched. Trillions of beings across thousands of worlds watched their screens as the most powerful military force in known space admitted defeat. To humans, to the primitive species that everyone had laughed at just 1 year ago, Ambassador Yoon Murray stepped forward. She did not smile. There was nothing to smile about. Too many had died. Too much had been destroyed. Victory tasted like ash. Humanity accepts your surrender, she said simply. The assembly waited for more. They waited for the list of demands. The territories humanity would claim, the tribute they would extract, the revenge they would take for every human killed, every city burned, every child orphaned. Instead, Murray said, we have one condition. Return our people. Return the survivors of the colonies you attacked. Return the prisoners you hold. That is all. The Velith ambassador looked confused. That is ... all. You demand nothing more? What more is there to demand? Murray asked. We did not fight for territory. We did not fight for resources. We fought because you threatened our families. You threatened our future. We fought to survive. She looked around the assembly hall. Every representative, every species, every being watching from every world, we are survivors, she said. That is what we have always been. For millions of years we survived on a planet that tried to kill us. Ice ages, predators, disease, each other. We survived because we learned to fight. We survived because we refused to give up. Her voice grew softer, but somehow it carried further. We did not choose to be this way. Evolution chose for us. The universe chose for us. We learned to kill because we had to. We learned to destroy because survival demanded it. But we also learned something else. She paused. We learned when to stop. We learned that destruction without purpose is meaningless. We learned that true strength is not just the power to take, but the wisdom to know when not to. President Jang Soo-jin watched the broadcast from Earth. She was 62 years old, with silver hair and tired eyes. She had led humanity through the worst year in its history. She had ordered attacks that killed millions. She had watched her people die by the thousands, and now she watched her ambassador offer peace. Was it worth it? Her aide asked quietly. Soo-jin did not answer for a long moment. Ask me in 100 years, she finally said. Ask me when we know what kind of galaxy we've created. In the assembly hall, Ambassador Murray was finishing her speech. We offer peace today not because we are tired of fighting. We offer peace because we have made our point. We have shown the galaxy what humanity can do when threatened. We have shown you our worst. Her eyes found Arbiter Yelshan in the crowd. But we would rather show you our best. We would rather build than destroy, create than kill. We would rather be your partners than your enemies. She turned back to the Velith delegation. Take our peace. Learn from this war. Remember what happens when you threaten those who have nothing left to lose. And then, perhaps we can find a way to move forward together. A Velith ambassador nodded slowly. His people had been humbled, broken, but they had also been given something unexpected, a second chance. The formal ceremony ended. Delegations filed out. The war was over. But in a quiet corner of the assembly hall, Arbiter Yelchin approached Ambassador Murray. May I ask you something? The old LRI said. Murray nodded. Why? Yelshan asked. You could have destroyed them. You could have taken their worlds. Made them slaves. made the entire galaxy fear you forever. Why show mercy? Marae was silent for a moment, considering the question.
Oh.
Do you know what the hardest thing about being human is? She finally asked. Yelshan waited. It is carrying two truths at the same time. We are killers. Our history proves it. Our biology demands it. When threatened, we become monsters that even we do not recognize. She looked at her hands. Small hands. Human hands. Hands that could build and heal and destroy. But we are also more than killers. We write poetry. We compose music. We fall in love and raise children and dream of better tomorrows. We are capable of extraordinary cruelty and extraordinary kindness. Both are real. Both are human. She met Yelshan's ancient eyes. We showed mercy because that is who we choose to be. Not because we cannot destroy, but because we can choose not to. That choice is what makes us human. Later, Yelshan returned to her duties as arbiter of the Galactic Concord. One of her tasks was to update the official records for all species in the galaxy. She pulled up humanity's file. Previous classification, minor species, primitive. Non-Threech deleted the old words and typed new ones. Updated classification. Do not pyroviaka. Then she added a personal note. Something she rarely did. Humanity is not what we thought. They are not primitive. They are not simple. They are old and young at the same time. Ancient in their capacity for violence. Newborn in their reach among the stars. They warned us. They were kind enough to warn us. Let no future generation forget. When humanity warns you, listen. Far from the Galactic Assembly, in a military shipyard deep in human space, Admiral Park Dewan stood on an observation deck. Below him, thousands of workers constructed new ships. New weapons. New defenses. The war was over. Peace had been declared. But the shipyard was busier than ever. His aide, a young officer named Kim Ji-woo, stood beside him. The council is asking why we're still building, she said. The war is over. We won. Dewan watched a new warship take shape below. It was beautiful in its way. A machine designed for destruction, built with human hands and human creativity. The war is over, he agreed. This war. But there will be others. How can you know that? Because I know the universe. Adawan's voice was tired but certain. The universe does not care about peace. The universe does not reward mercy. The Velith were not the only species that saw us as weak. They were just the first to act. He turned to face her. We hoped for peace. We worked for peace. We achieved peace. But hope is not a strategy. Someday, another species will decide that humanity is an obstacle. Someday, another fleet will threaten our worlds. And when that day comes, we will be ready. Giwu looked at the shipyard below. At the weapons being forged, at the soldiers being trained, an entire civilization preparing for a war that might never come. Is this what we are? She asked. Forever preparing? Forever waiting? Dewan put a hand on her shoulder. This is what we have to be, survivors. That is what humanity has always been. We survive ice ages and plagues. We survive each other. We survive the galaxy. We will keep surviving until the stars burn out. He smiled just slightly. But that does not mean we cannot also live, build families, create art, love each other. That is also what we are. Killers and poets. Destroyers and dreamers. Both at the same time, he turned back to the window. We warned the galaxy. The galaxy realized we meant it. Now they know what we are capable of. Perhaps that knowledge will keep the peace for another 100 years. Perhaps another 1,000. And if it does not, you watch the ships being built, the weapons taking shape, the future being prepared. Then we will be ready. We will always be ready, because that is what it means to be human. The shipyard hummed with activity. The stars burned in the darkness beyond. And humanity, ancient and new, savage and kind, continued its endless work of survival. They had warned the galaxy. The galaxy had finally realized now everyone would have to live with what that meant.